Welcome into another edition of the Stripe Show podcast. What a week in golf we had. It felt like the world's longest week ever. And if I say it as a fan perspective, I can't imagine what it felt like from a player's perspective. Please welcome Talor Gooch to the Stripe Show podcast. Good morning, man.
Thank you for having me.
And it was a hell. It feels like I was just talking to somebody yesterday. So we're recording this on Tuesday morning. I was talking to somebody yesterday at the final round of the Players, and it felt like the API was like a month ago. And that was just last Sunday. It was 8 days ago. It's a Sunday at the API. So let's start there. Final group, Sunday morning at the API. A lot of people complained when it was over that the golf course was set up fairly on Thursday. And then as the week went on, it was set up unfairly. Some people said they lost the greens. Talor, you had a great tournament. Where do you see the golf course at API? Was the setup too difficult?
I would say the setup. So when I think of setup, I think of tees and pins.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little, in my mind, a little different than like course conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the setup, I think the tour did a great job for the setup considering the course conditions. You know, the course conditions were brutal, and so for what the course was, they had the pins and the tees in about as reasonable spots as you could put them in for what we were playing on.
So they did the best they did. They did the best they could with what they had to work with.
Yeah, correct.
What was the cause of the course? Just dried out and fast?
Yeah, I mean the greens just. I was playing with Kevin Tway Thursday, Friday, and on
Mm-hmm.
Friday I said something about, man, these greens are, whatever. And he goes, you mean these browns? I'm like, huh? He goes, these aren't greens anymore. These are browns. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty good because they are brown. And that was on Friday. So it was just, the great equalizer in golf is firm greens and rough. And that course had, some of the firmest greens I've ever played on, if not the firmest. And then the rough was absolutely brutal. You were, wedging it out unless you got a good break and happened to catch a lie out of the rough. So it was a challenge, to say the least.
But you had a great week. Final group on Sunday. Always good to be in the final group on Sunday. But you could tell the golf course was just playing really, really hard. And Scheffler played a hell of a match.
Oh yeah, I mean, what was he, 5 under? Did he win at 5?
Yeah.
I mean, when 5 under wins on the PGA Tour, something's going pretty crazy. I mean, that's U.S. Open type stuff. So, one of my buddies texted me Saturday evening and was like, because I think I was at 7 under going into Sunday, and on Saturday he was like, Saturday evening he was like, hey, just get to 9 and this is your thing. And I said, I will literally pay $1 million for even par right now. And he's like, oh, no way, dude. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I would pay $1 million for even par because I'm going to make a lot more money if I shoot even par than $1 million. So it unfortunately worked out that way. And unfortunately, I didn't shoot even par, but it was a great week, a great challenge. And it's a lot of guys I know that didn't love the week because of the course and the way it was, the conditions and everything. But I think it's a fun change of pace, and I don't want that every week, that kind of a challenge, but it's nice to sprinkle those in on occasion.
Now let's get into the Players. What felt like the longest week? I mean, I love the golf tournament. It is my favorite tournament of the year. But there are so many stories coming out of the Players. Let's start with number one, the draw disparity. So you were a early player, late Thursday, early Friday?
Yeah.
So the guys that started on Thursday, if you remember, they played a few holes. There was some electricity in the air. They stopped it. They came back. Some guys were lucky enough to finish. I think Kramer Hickok finished. Tom Hoagie finished. Tommy Fleetwood finished. Those guys were able to finish. They were near the top of the leaderboard. They didn't hit a ball again from Thursday until Sunday. Now, you drew a late tee time. Therefore, you didn't play at all on Thursday. When you went out on Friday, it was basically raining the entire time. Then it rained all day Friday, and you had to finish Saturday in those ungodly winds. Is it just the unluck of the draw there?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no doubt I would actually love to see the like the stats on the different waves of like how many guys made the cut versus, the early late wave versus late early wave.
Mhm.
I would love to see. I know Max finished like 13th, and he was in our wave. I don't know how many guys beat him in our wave, but there couldn't have been too many. 'Cause there was a huge advantage in being in the early late wave where you played Thursday and then have touch course Friday or Saturday. Because, like I said, Friday played in rain essentially the whole time, and then Saturday, I mean, we all saw all this. I mean, Justin was hitting 5 wood on 18 from 200, and talked about other times when it was 200 yards downwind, he was hitting 9 iron.
Mhm.
So that gives people a little bit of an idea of just how tough the wind was. So, but we just you play enough in professional golf, you're going to be on both sides of it, and it's just unfortunate when you're on that side of it. But then when you're on the other side and you get the good wave, you're happy. So it's just we always talk. My caddy and I always say, at the end of a career, it all equals out.
When did you finish your Thursday round? Your first round?
Um, Golly, it's such a blur of a week. I finished Friday. I didn't have to come back out Saturday and finish. Uh, the they I was approaching the green whenever they sounded the horn Friday for my first round to finish. But because it wasn't, the reason they sounded it was because there was too much water, standing puddles everywhere.
Right.
So because there wasn't like dangerous conditions, there wasn't lightning and stuff.
Mhm.
Even though the horn had sounded and they suspended play, you had on that, if you had started a hole, you had the ability to finish that hole. And so because I didn't want to wait around all day and come back Saturday and finish, my last, I was on the green basically and go try to make a couple putts. So
Right.
I went ahead and finished on Friday. So it was nice to get the round done on Friday.
Plus Saturday morning it was cold as hell.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, you guys played in 4 seasons of weather in a matter of 3 days.
Yeah, correct.
It was truly. Now, what was worse? Was the Friday rain or the Saturday winds? What's worse?
Oh, the Saturday wins without a doubt. I mean, there was no wind Friday. There was just rain. That obviously makes a difference. But when it's blowing 20 to 30 and gusting at 40, I mean, it makes any golf course, tough scoring. But then when you get a course like TPC where you have trouble everywhere, it makes it like you're holding on for dear life. So the win Saturday was brutal.
Now, what did you do during during your downtime? Because I mean, Thursday you're sitting around hoping that you're going to get out, and you didn't. And then Friday you get out in the morning, and then it rains all day. Are you at the golf course the whole time? Did you leave?
No, I was kind of sick Thursday morning, and so I had some kind of little stomach bug, and so I didn't get a whole bunch of sleep Thursday night, and so Friday it was actually one of the greatest things that happened was having all of the afternoon off, so I could just go get in bed and get a little R and get some energy back.
You gave the hotel plumbing a workout on Thursday night, Friday morning.
Yes, I did.
So the rain delay played in your favor. Now, do you have to stay at the golf course when it's delayed, or can you leave and go back to the hotel?
Yeah, you can leave, but you're kind of playing with fire a little bit because with the tour, the tournament wanting to obviously finish as soon as possible, not have a Tuesday finish. If there was a break in the weather at any point in time, they're gonna get us back out there as soon as possible. And so the last thing you kind of want to do is head back to the hotel, and take you another 30 minutes once you get the go ahead to get from the hotel to the course, get dressed, the whole thing. And so you got to stay ready, kind of. So like you kept saying, it's felt like a long week, and for us, it felt like an even longer week because the whole time we're kind of you can't really take much of a mental break.
No. Now, take us inside the locker room. What's going on in there? There's some the cards being played. Like, there's got to be some shenanigans going on.
So I don't know if y'all knew this, but I'm pretty sure it's against the rules to play cards now in the locker room. It's
Oh,
a
it
it's an
is.
old PGA Tour rule. Yeah, there's no and it's a whole long story, but I don't think we're allowed to play cards in the locker room. So I don't really see that anymore. And
I didn't
I
know that.
mean, yeah, it's been around for a while. It's been around for, I want to say 20 plus years. But yeah, I mean, everyone's just hanging, just on their phone, and everyone's got family in too, and there's family dining, and there's different areas. I mean, it's a big clubhouse, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of places to go and hang. So, man, not much. Everyone's just kind of twiddling their thumbs, you know.
I saw Max Homa on Twitter was like, "Hey, can it keep raining? I want to go see Batman." He just wanted to go
Yeah,
see a movie. I mean,
right,
I guess
right.
after a while, you sit there for so many days, you just want to do something because you can look at a
Yep,
radar and see, "Hey, this isn't stopping anytime soon. We're not playing anymore today."
yep, correct.
I mean, listen, I think Cam Smith played amazing. It was great that he won that shot on 17. I was proud of him yesterday to admit that that's not where he was aimed. He hit that on 7. There's absolutely no way he was trying to hit it right at the pin. But for me, the MVP of the week was the grounds crew to get 5 inches of rain
Oh,
dumped on that place. And yet I didn't play it on Saturday. So I'll ask you, it seemed extremely playable on Saturday morning after having rain for 4 days.
oh, I was talking with my caddy about that. We felt bad for the grounds crew because, it was speaking of long weeks for us, I mean, for them, I mean, I can't imagine the time and the hours they put in to get it to where it was, because it was shocking how good the course was for how much rain had been dumped on it. So
Right.
it is incredible. It's testament to the grounds crew, but also a testament to the course, and it's draining, and it was mind blowing how good and how fair the course was after all the rain that had been dumped on it.
At any point on Friday, did you have to call out the guys with the squeegees to roll some of the greens?
Yeah, yeah.
You did.
Really, the last like 6, 7 holes, almost every hole you had to, and that's why eventually they blew it, because it got too much. It's like the whole place was underwater. Eventually. So,
Yeah, I think they
uh,
ran out of guys with squeegees after a while because everybody was calling them over from all over the place.
yeah, and eventually it's like, where do you squeegee? Because they've been doing it everywhere. Eventually, it just piles up. It's like you can't put it anywhere else. You move some there, and then that moves more of that water back to you. So it became a puddle. The whole place was just a big old puddle.
Does it affect the green much when they squeegee it at all?
Um, I don't think so. It's a total guess, but I don't really think so.
17. 17 is always the centerpiece of TBC Sawgrass. I think rightfully so, but once again, I'm not a PGA Tour professional. Do you feel like 17 was unfair on Saturday? I know you played it on Saturday. Do you feel it was unfair?
I don't think it was unfair. I think it was a bit of a guessing game. For example, my group, I play with Jason Kokrak and Hudson Swafford, and the three of us hit it near enough the same length. And so Kokrak goes first. One was in, should have been slightly off the left, and he hits a little draw, and he just drew it right in the middle of the green, 8 iron. It was perfect. Hudson gets up there, hits 8 iron, and it gets blown up, and it's water short right. So I take 8 iron, and I flush it, and it airmailed the green because the wind had switched from in and off the left to almost directly off the left, and I airmailed it long right by 20 yards. And so, you know, I don't think it's necessarily unfair, but you are kind of guessing to an extent, because basically three almost exact same shots had three, completely different, results. And so I don't think unfair is the right word to use, because that's golf. Golf is innately unfair.
Right.
But it is, you were guessing, it was a guessing game on 17 on Saturday.
And the reason I ask is so Brandel Chambly on Golf Channel had given a pretty good, a really good explanation that the proximity to the hole on Saturday was 40 feet. 40-foot proximity is an 80 feet circle. If you take an 80 feet circle and make it out, that green's not that
Yeah.
big. So,
Yeah.
so
Right.
to hit it inside the average proximity of the hole, you're off the green. Once you said you airmailed it, if you probably didn't airmail it by 40 feet, so you would have been in. So his argument is that the green is not big enough. I did see him post a couple things where he said maybe some bunkering in the back would help balls that are rolling off or whatever it takes. But in general, do players like 17?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's, in general, it's a wedge to an 8-9 iron, depending on the pin and the wind and whatnot. I mean, it's very reasonable. Obviously the green is not, it's not huge. It's not a small target, but it's not also not a huge target.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time too, it's still, 140 to 150 yards and shorter to the front pin when guys are, when we have a wedge in our hand. I think it's a blast. I think it's great. I think most guys enjoy it. But it is nerve wracking. People always compare like the 16th at Waste Management to 17 at Sawgrass, and the 16th at Waste Management is not near, in my opinion, is not nearly like, doesn't get your nerves going as much, because if you hit a bad shot, you're like, I'm in the bunker, or I missed the green and some people boo me. If you miss the green on 17 at Sawgrass, you're re-teeing. It's a whole different ball game. So I think it's a great hole. I think it's a blast.
Me as a fan, I like it. I enjoy it. I love the atmosphere sitting around it, the way they've added more people and it made it what it is. But
Yeah.
I know it was playing really, really tough on Saturday. I mean, I think Justin Thomas hit a 6-iron in there. He flighted a 6-iron into the middle of the green. But I guess that's where you just have to be creative and find a way to get it on when when it's your turn to tee it. But at the same time, if you catch a gust of wind going the wrong way, which is what happened to you, but you don't see that as unfair. You see it as it's just golf.
Yeah, it's just golf.
Because everybody's playing in the same condition.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, well, not this week necessarily.
Yeah, because the guys that played on Thursday played in a dome.
Yeah, correct. But yeah, no, I mean that's just golf. I mean, there's a reason why guys win some weeks and guys don't win some weeks. It's you just the golf gods are on your side sometimes, and that's just the way it is. I don't think it's bad to have. It shouldn't be completely fair. Like in a world that we live in, where everyone's trying to make everything fair for everybody, like golf's so synonymous to life, where you
Right.
know what, life's unfair sometimes, and you just got to deal with what you're dealt. And so I don't think 17's unfair. I don't think it played unfair. You just kind of hope you guessed right whenever you played it Saturday.
You mentioned week to week golf, week to week API. You're in the final group on Sunday. Obviously, things were different. The weather played a huge factor in TPC. The draw played a huge factor. I mean, just last year in 2021, you finished fifth. So what happens week to week where you see some guys play really well and then the next week they don't play well? Is that golf course? Is it ball striking? What is the difference in week to week on the PGA Tour?
There's such a fine line at our level between, successful golf and unsuccessful golf, and it like I was just saying with the golf gods, it really is a break here or there. It's sometimes you hit a 6-footer that catches the lip and goes in, and that kind of gives you a little momentum and you kind of carry that to the rest of the round. Or sometimes it's you miss back-to-back 6-footers that you hit a good putt on and you just misread it slightly, and all of a sudden you're fighting an uphill battle. And so the week to week, I think guys like Tiger Woods have ruined what people consider is good golf, because
Right.
there's such a fine line between what is considered good golf on the PGA Tour and what is missed cuts on the PGA Tour. And we're all trying to navigate that week to week, and it's just of course, some weeks you're playing better than others. Some weeks you got more ball control. Like for me right now, I'm not playing as well as I had been last fall, where each week I just showed up and I knew where the golf ball was going, and it was just a matter of how many putts I made that week. The last couple months, I just haven't been hitting it as well. And I got to try to find my game each week, and so there's kind of, again, back to life. There's seasons of golf that you go through where golf's easy, and there's seasons that you go through where it's not as easy. And when I say seasons, I don't mean like entire seasons. I mean
Right.
like stretches within
Yeah.
the season. And so it's yeah. I mean, there's such a, I guess best way, there's such a fine line between what is great golf, good golf, and miscut golf, and so uh, there's a plethora of reasons as to what separates, each level from the next.
Yeah, I mean, even at our level, the amateur level, there's times when you feel like you can't miss, and you go out there and you're like, I got it figured out, and you never got it figured out. And then there's
Correct.
times when you go out there and you feel like you're never going to hit it good again. And the truth is, neither one of those are right. When you're hitting it real good, you're going to have bad days. And when you're hitting it real
Yep.
bad, there's going to be a great day. And it could be right around the corner or it could be a ways down the road, but that's
Yep.
just golf. And
Yep.
it's almost a little uplifting to hear that you guys go through the same thing. Obviously not, your lows aren't as low as our lows and our highs never
Right.
reach your highs, but it's still the same ride.
Oh, I always tell amateurs that exact thing. Like the difference between us and y'all is not a whole lot different in reality. Like we still go through the same thing that amateurs go through. But to your point, like the lows just aren't quite as low, and the highs are just a little bit higher because we're training for this. We're doing this day in and day out, And so, but we go through. It's like Max had a great tweet a couple months back, essentially saying, you know, us golfers, especially pro golfers, like we're kind of psychos because we're always one swing away from thinking we could win the Masters, and one swing away from thinking, all right, what's our next job going to be? Because, like you said, the difference, the outhouse and the penthouse are always just around the corner from each other.
Right.
You
They're
know,
they're not even
it,
across the street from each other.
that's exactly right. So it's a man, it's a funny fickle game that we play.
It really is. It's unreal. But then when you go, like when you stand on the range, I was watching you hit balls. I believe it was maybe Thursday afternoon after the rain delay, when there's a chance that you guys were going to get out on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
And I know I was there on Tuesday, but just the sound the ball makes when leaving the club, you just walk up and down the range. It's a different sound. It's a different game, but at the same time, I also noticed there's guys doing drills. There are PGA Tour professionals working on drills on the range
Yeah.
where they're still obviously they're struggling with something and trying to fix something before they're going out for a
Hmm.
round. So it's really we're really not that different. Our talent level is extremely different. However, we're all kind of swimming in the same pool.
Correct. No, that's exactly right. And for us, like I said, it's such a fine line between, between making it and not making it, between making a cut and not making a cut, between, winning and finishing 30th. There's such a fine line. And so, for us, we're trying to be perfect. We're training. It's like my coach and I always talk about, it's like train to be perfect, but realize there's no such thing.
Uh-huh.
And so that's why we're going to work our butt off. We're going to continue to, pound the fundamentals, setups and alignments and ball position, all the stuff that the average, 18 handicapper should work on.
Right.
It's the basic fundamentals that we want to pound and hone every single week. And that's just again another point of the difference between us and amateurs. There's really not much of a difference.
Right. Now, Taylor, you've won before on the PGA Tour. You understand what it's like to win. You've been in contention just a couple of weeks ago at API in the final group on Sunday. How different is the ball striking when you win versus when you're in contention versus when you make a cut? I'm guessing that it's really very, very close.
Oh yeah. You know, so like back when I won, there's probably two or three more shots in that round where I'm just the confidence is a little bit higher,
Mhm.
where I'm just a little bit more aggressive versus, the weeks where you're hitting it really well, or you've got some good ball control, and there's just those two or three pins or two or three tee shots where you just you take a little bit more conservative line just because the confidence just isn't quite the same, right?
Right.
And that's that pixie dust that like we're all trying to find, is those weeks where you feel like you can fire away at everything versus the weeks where you feel like you got to be a little more conservative. You can't, to this back left pin that I'm normally trying to hit it 15 to 20 feet right of it. In the weeks where I'm in contention, I'm able to kind of take a little bit more aggressive line, kind of start at 10 or 15 feet right of it and try to turn it into the pin. And there's just again, it's all such a fine line. And for us, those weeks between winning in contention and really between in contention and missed cuts, it can be something as that simple where there's those 2 or 3 shots around where you're just feeling more comfortable, feeling more confident to be a little bit more aggressive.
Right. Getting back to the players, when you tee off on say you tee off on 1, whether you tee off on 10, when is 17 in your head? And is that the only hole that you're thinking about ahead of time?
Well, it's so circumstantial. So, like this last week, I teed off on my first round on the back 9.
Mhm.
And so my second round on Saturday, I tee off in the front, and so I'm finishing on 16, 17, 18.
Right.
And so I knew the cut was so the first round I shot 2 under.
Which
I
is
knew
right
the
in the
cut
mix,
was
by the way.
yeah. And so I knew the second round was going to be brutal conditions, and I wasn't hitting it that great. So I just kind of know like it's probably going to be a grind. And so I knew like, all right, if I can get to 16 somewhere around even, I can now, I can just try to survive 17, 18 because 17, 18 we're straight into the wind or just a little bit off the left. And so I just knew if I could avoid the big number on 17, 18, I was going to have a chance to go into the weekend. And knowing how the conditions were going to be, I knew if I could get into the weekend,
It'd be better.
you're only 2 rounds away from getting in contention, right?
Right.
And so I birdied 16 to get to even for the tournament.
Which is right where you wanted to be. As you're standing on 1, you're thinking,
Yeah.
I want to be even. You're there.
Yeah, correct. But back to your question, on the first hole, I'm already thinking about 16, 17, 18 because of the conditions of the day, of the week, of what was going on. Normally, when the conditions aren't so crazy, like last year when I was going to the final round, I was probably top 10 or so. I was kind of within shooting distance of getting in the thick of things. And I just missed a birdie putt on 15, and after I missed that, I thought, all right, we got 16, 17, 18 coming up. So after 15 was when I already you kind of start thinking about 17. Plus, when you get to 16T, you can see 17, tee box and the grandstands and everything. And so normally I don't really start thinking about it until the time comes closer. That's also probably one of the differences between the amateurs and pros is we've kind of trained our minds to kind of stay in the moment and not think ahead like that.
Yeah, when I'm approaching 16 green, like as you come down, the grandstands aren't there when you play it in the normal part of the year.
Right.
But as I'm coming down 16 fairway, I can't help but look over my right shoulder. I'm like, there it is. You think if I don't look at it, it's not there, but it's there. You got to give it a quick glance.
Absolutely.
It is a beautiful golf hole, though. It really is.
Oh, it's spectacular. And it's, amongst everyone out on tour, I mean, the course in general, it's one of the most well-liked places on tour without a doubt. So it's no coincidence that it's considered the 5th major and that it's probably the best field in golf and
you just
one of the
took
best
2 of my
courses
next
in golf.
questions. You literally just answered 2 of my next questions. I was going to ask you, do the players like TPC Sawgrass as a whole, and where does it fit in? It's often called the 5th major. Do you agree? But you just answered both questions.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I just said, we all love it. It's such a great test of golf, and it's one that's going to stand the test of time because it's not long. It's not like a course where
you can't overpower it.
Yeah, the Brysons and DJs and those guys, like they can't just overpower it. It's just golf in its truest form. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's considered 5th major for a few reasons, but I think the biggest reason being I think it is the best field in golf. You don't have no offense to the U.S. Open and British Open, but you don't have guys that are going and qualifying for this event in a one-day qualifier kind of thing, right? This is based off of accolades of the previous 365 days. So this is essentially the best of the best, the guys who over the previous year have played the best golf in the world, and it's just the best of the best on the PGA Tour from a world rank perspective, everything. So I think that's obviously a huge reason why it's called, the fifth major. And obviously it's the PGA Tours, it's their ultimate
Mhm.
event. And so
Does the
it's
$20 million
top notch.
purse affect anything?
I think it gets everyone a little bit more hyped up. I mean, how can you not? There's a reason why all this talk here over the last few months of this new league. There's a reason that talk got sparked so much is because there's a bunch of money involved. And so
Right.
at the end of the day, think about when you're going back to the amateur talk, it's like, if you're with your buddies and you guys are playing, $10 a hole, and then all of a sudden you're playing for $50 a hole, that's gonna change things a little bit. Now it
Absolutely.
doesn't change kind of our day to day or week to week. It's just it's a nice little carrot, I guess you could say, for us to think about towards if we go and take care of business, we're gonna get rewarded at the end of the week.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Smith walked away with 3.6 yesterday, which that's a huge take on
Yeah,
in one tournament. It usually takes almost 3 wins to win what he won just yesterday. But
yeah.
when you prepare, you prepared for majors. Do you prepare for the players a little more than you prepare for a normal tour event?
Not necessarily. For us, each week is a possible life changer. At
Right.
least in my career so far. And so, the previous week at API, I had a chance to go and win, Arnold Palmer's tournament. And so I'm not sitting there thinking about the players or trying to prepare for players. I'm trying to win Arnold Palmer. And
Right.
so, there's so many, and there's too many good players. There's too many good tournaments to think about off in the distance at this point in my career to start preparing for something else in a different
Right.
way.
Right.
Maybe 10 or 12 wins later, I can start talking differently and say we're going
Yeah.
to start preparing differently for different tournaments.
I
But
only care about this, this, and this. I'm not worried about the rest. Yeah, you're not there yet.
no, correct. And I don't know much, but I don't think there's many guys, and especially, it's like each week we are starting to play for so much money that,
Yeah.
each week it can be I don't care how much money you have, each week you go win $1.5 million, $2 million, that's gonna change things. So
As
each
long
week
as there is a leaderboard and a check at the end, it's getting 100% of my anticipation.
that's exactly right.
What did you catch any of yesterday on Monday? So Daniel Berger hits into 16 and he hit it in the water, tried to hit a fade, and it ended up going going into the lake there at 16 and 17. He was playing with Victor Hovland and Joel Damon, and they had a disagreement about where he should drop. Did you see any of this?
Yeah, I caught it. It's always it's a tough situation because it's ultimately it's Berger's decision,
Mhm.
because that's what makes golf so great. It's there's no referees technically, right? Like you
Mhm.
are your own referee. And so, he has a decision to make of where he feels that it crossed. Now, that's also what is great about golf too, is it's the other two playing partners. It's their responsibility to uphold the integrity of the rest of the field and of the
Right.
game of golf. And so, there I think it's good that I think it's good the way that it went about because it was Joel's and it was Victor's. It was their place and it was their responsibility to talk to Berger about it. Um, I obviously wasn't there, so I don't know where it crossed.
Right.
In reality, on a shot that looked like it moved, quite a bit, it's a guessing game. No matter how you chop it up, you just have to make your best educated guess on where it ultimately crossed into the hazard. Um, and so I think that it was, it got a lot of attention, I'm sure, because people love a little bit of a little bit of some of that argument, if you will.
It appeared to get a little heated, and Victor Hovland, I don't know Victor personally, but he seems like a really laid back, easygoing guy. But he was adamant that no, that's not where it is. And you could see Berger was getting a little upset, and he's like, listen,
Yeah.
I'm going to drop here because this is what you guys want me to do, but it's wrong. Like when you have to add the but it's wrong, you're obviously not okay with what's going on.
Oh, for sure. And that's what makes the situation so difficult is everyone probably has a strong opinion, and let's just throw in there too. We're playing for $3 million, and
Right.
it's a 16. So I mean, it's just the stakes are high, and the difference of dropping it's 10 yards of a difference of where you drop it could make all the difference in the world. And so it's a tough situation, and yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it's understandable why Debo got heated, and understandable why Victor stood his ground. Which, I mean, I think it was great on all ends, but I don't foresee extra Christmas cards being sent out after that. Although I always say, like, what happens between the ropes stays between the ropes, and we're not going to. That's in the heat of the moment. Like when we walk off the course, like we're good. But
Right.
uh, it was entertaining.
It is. And you know what? Golf at the end of the day is entertaining. And I respect Victor for,
That's right.
like he said, they asked him after in the media center, why were you so adamant? And he said, because my job as a playing partner, I'm upholding the integrity of the field. I am there to
Hmm.
make sure that it's fair for everybody. It's not just about the three of us, it's for the
Yeah.
entire field.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Think about it. Like if, let's say I was in 10th place. I have no idea what Berger finished, but let's say I was in the clubhouse in 10th place, and I'm sitting there, and it's the difference between me, you know, keeping my card at the end of the year or not based on how
Mhm.
debug finishes. That makes it that's a huge that's not just a difference of a guy of debug who's a Ryder Cupper, who's won, who's had extreme success. You know, it's not just about him, it's about everybody else. And I'm not saying what he was right or wrong. I have no idea. But to Victor's point, it's about everyone in the field, and that's the point of like I said, that's why I was glad to see how that whole situation transpired, because that's the way it should. D-Book should feel this way, and if someone else feels differently in the group, they should stick up to what they are thinking at the time.
So it's deeper than one shot or one event. It really goes over, like you said, at the end of the year, we come down to FedEx Cup points. That comes on where you finish. If it's world ranking points and trying to get your card for the next year,
Hmm.
it affects so many different things. And so I totally understand why. I mean, listen, I've been on the course with my buddies, and they've said, "Hey, I think it crossed here." And as the guy that hit the shot, I know it crossed somewhere else. But
Right.
once again, it comes down to two people making a decision. And I think what they decided in the end was they made a compromise somewhere between where Hovland and
Right.
Damon thought it crossed and where Berger thought it crossed. Took something in the middle, and that's the way it goes. And yesterday, the referee said that was fine. That at the end of the day, they made a decision. They came to it. They agreed. He dropped, and we just move on with play.
Yeah. Yeah. As it should.
So you brought up earlier, obviously, it's been a hot topic of conversation, and this podcast probably had a lot to do with that. We had Kramer Hickok on it's been about a month ago now, and he had brought up what he had heard about the Saudi League, and it really kind of just started a fire, and then all the Phil stuff happened and everything else. We're now not hearing anything about the Saudi League. I really haven't heard a lot after the Phil stuff all kind of died down. Do you think the Saudi League is dead in the water?
Um, I, I would say no, just because there's the old saying, when there's smoke, there's fire, and there's been too much smoke for there to not eventually be a fire at some point. And so, I mean, I have no idea what the future holds for it, but from what I've heard, I know that they're adamant and they love golf and they want to make it happen. So, who knows what it's going to look like, but I don't think it's dead in the water. I think from the sounds of it, that their original plan got a little wrench thrown in it after everything that happened
Yeah.
at Riv and after Riv.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like, and listen, everybody's got their own opinion who the big names are, but it seems like the biggest of the big names have said, "Hey, it's not for me. I'm good right here on the PGA Tour," which that doesn't bode well for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's Hey, like I've said from the jump, this whole thing it's interesting how it's all unfolded, and how everything has been happening. So yeah, you got to have, for that to have happened. I mean, you got to have the biggest players in the game. I mean, at the end of the day, the draw is, no offense to, me and Kramer and, guys like us, like DJ and right, these guys are they're the big draw of the game. And, for someone to come in and try to overtake the tour, they're gonna have to have the biggest names in the game.
Right. It doesn't appear like that's going to be able to happen. So, once again, I haven't heard anything in a while. So maybe they're going back and trying to figure out another plan or whatever that is. But it does seem that for now, it has been thwarted and it has been kind of slowed down a little bit to where we were going earlier. Because it seems like it was at one point, it seemed very full steam ahead.
Yeah,
It
right.
seemed like
Yeah,
they were really
it's
moving.
uh-huh.
What are some things that you and Boyd are working on right now? I know you said you weren't hitting it great at the players, but you seem to be hitting it really, really good at API. So what are some things you guys are working on now in your swing?
So from about last May until the end of the year, I was hitting it really well. It's just kind of one of those times, like I said, one of those seasons of the game where I kind of just was in maintenance mode, where I'm showing up to the range and it was going where I was looking. So we just made sure everything was kind of looking right, feeling
Right.
right, and everything was good. And we just kind of maintaining. And so after kind of the month and a half off after the end of the year and get back out in Hawaii, it just hey, it's just and we're in that season where the swing just it's not going where I'm aiming every time. And so
Right.
we're just trying to get back to a baseline to where we can just show up and kind of hit it where we're looking, as simply put as possible. For me, my strength is my iron game. And so that's always going to be a focus. If my irons are good, it's just a matter of how many putts I'm going to make that week. And so, for me, I hit probably 80, 90% cuts, and I'd sprinkle in some draws on occasion. And so right now we're working on just getting, good control of the cutback, because whenever I'm able to hit that holder, that's when I'm at my best.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, you were hitting, like I said, I watched you on the range, but hell, when I watch you hit the golf balls, it looks great. But I mean, I mean, hell, I don't know where I don't know what you're aiming at, what you're trying to do, how you're trying to get there. I don't know anything. It just look, I mean, but I don't understand exactly what's going on. But I did see you working, but you see a lot of guys working on the range and then going out and playing. And it's got to be difficult to do drills on the range and then go out and try and just play golf and not be thinking golf swing instead of playing golf.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things Boyd and I talk about a lot is kind of back to like training to be perfect. But then when it comes game time, you got to be able to switch, flip a switch and just go play golf, And so that's one thing I think I've been, blessed with kind of innately is when it comes game time, I can kind of shut my brain off and just go play. Um, and it's both a good thing and it can be a little bit detrimental because I've got good hands. I can kind of fake it, even when I'm not swinging great, I can kind of time it up decently.
Right.
And in reality, like API was a good example of that. I really wasn't hitting it that great that week,
Really.
but I was just kind of guessing right and kind of managing the game and kind of
You had
making
more
some putts
confidence
and
in your
just
guess. You're like, hey, this guess is going to be good.
yeah, yeah. And I it, eventually, when you're not to win on tour, you gotta be having some pretty good stuff. And so that week is a prime example. Like you can kind of only fake it so long on tour, at when you're in contention and leading before it kind of creeps up and gets you.
Right.
And there was about a 3 or 4 hole stretch where I just hit 2 or 3 shots that you just can't hit. And that was the difference between, again, back to that fine line. That was the difference between winning and not winning.
Right. Well, Taylor, man, it's always good having you on. Before we let you go, we do this thing called the E9. I tried to go through, we've had you on before, so I tried to get some new
Hmm.
questions. So here we go. Number one, what is your favorite event on the PGA Tour?
God. So I have four. I can never
Okay.
say one. I have
Okay.
four. It's Tory, Riv, Players, and Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow. Those are the four majors of the tour, and
So we've already been through
year,
3 of them.
yeah, correct. And unfortunately, the fourth one is it's not at Quail this year because the President's Cup is at Quail. So
right.
yeah, so that I always answer. There's those 4, and then everything else kind of falls behind.
All right, somebody's got something to tell you. A phone call or a text?
Oh, a text.
Text,
sure.
yeah, I'm with you on that one. Music on the golf course or no go?
Absolutely music.
All right. Dumbest thing you've ever heard or seen a fan do?
Oh man. So I heard a great story. I didn't actually see this. It was Kokrek's caddy was telling the story this last week, and it's one of the best ones. I forget, it was 18 somewhere. He was saying they were in the second or third to last group. I forget who he said the player was, but they come up 18 on Sunday, like in contention, in the thick of things. And this guy pulls it left of the green, and rough stick. They go up there, and it's in the middle of a bunch of people, and they're looking for the ball, and they can't find the ball anywhere. And he goes, it's almost 5 minutes of looking for the ball, and we just can't find it. And he goes, and I just look, and somehow in the corner of my eye, I see this woman with a clear purse, and I see a golf ball in the purse. And I just think to myself, that's weird that she has one golf ball in her purse. So I go and ask the woman, like, hey, where'd you get that golf ball? And she goes, oh, it was just sitting right here. Final round, last hole, second or third from last group, some woman had just picked up a ball and threw it in her purse, and it was, a player. So that's probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Wow. Hey, I just found this one golf ball at a PGA Tour event. I had no idea.
Yeah, correct.
Player you'd be most nervous to be paired with?
Oh, Tiger.
Really?
Most nervous, most fun, most everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't played with him in a tournament yet, and I mean he's Tiger. So that would be the most nervous, excited, jacked, all of it. It would be a dream come true.
Have you done a practice round with him?
I haven't. I
Yeah.
haven't. Unfortunately, since I've been on tour, he hasn't been around a whole lot. So
right.
I'm hoping that'll change here. I think in a few months he might start playing some more golf again. So hopefully that'll work
I
out.
never thought in my life I'd look forward to the par 3 contest at Augusta, but if he plays that, hell, I'll watch that. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care what it is. I'll watch Tiger play it. If you weren't a pro golfer, how would we know Talor Gooch? What would he be doing?
Golly. Well, you wouldn't know me because I'd be probably stuck here and at home just hanging out with buddies, drinking some wine, and probably selling something, doing something. I don't know. I like to think in a different life. My dad played pro baseball, and I grew up playing baseball. So let's just let the ignorant side of me think I could have been a pro ball player.
Hey, we'll go there. Most famous phone number in your phone?
God, so the first moment on tour where I was like, I think I've actually maybe done something, was when King Griffey Jr. texted me, and just good work, good playing, something like that.
Right.
And I was like, how the heck does this guy have my number?
Right.
And so instantly I saved his number in my phone as the kid. So anyways, that's the one.
That's awesome. If you could pick one major to win, just one, which one would it be?
So I haven't played the Masters yet, so I always tell people the Open. The Open is the coolest tournament in golf. So I'm excited to play the Masters here in about a month to see if that overtakes the Open.
Okay. And what is your go-to karaoke song?
I'm not a karaoke guy. It's going to be something 50 Cent.
Okay, good. I like that. I can respect that. In the club. Now, did you love the Super Bowl performance?
Oh, it's so good.
I thought it was good too.
I felt like an old person because all of a sudden I'm like, I feel like these are like, they're all old, and now those were like my people.
Right. In high school, that's who we all listened to. In college, like, hey, these are my peeps. And now you're like, wait a second. They're old, which means I'm old.
Correct.
Where can we I know you're off this week, Valspar, you're not playing that. Where can we see you again? Are you playing match play next week?
Yeah, I'll play match play next week, and then a week off, and then Masters. So
And this
Got
is
a
your
couple
first
good ones
Masters.
coming up. This is.
You looking forward to that drive down Magnolia Lane?
Absolutely. I took it for the first time the weekend before API. Me and Max went out to Augusta Saturday, Sunday, and played it. So
Really?
I took it for the first time a couple weeks back. So I'm excited for the next one to be, game time, game week.
All right, so let me ask
I'm
you,
excited.
as playing it the first time, was it everything that you had imagined it to be?
Yeah, no doubt. It was incredible. It was a dream come true, to say the least. It was special. The coolest moment, I keep telling people, was when you're on 12 green, looking back up 11 and down 13 fairway. That's like, to me, probably the most iconic shot in golf. You just so often see, like, when I say shot, like camera shot, like this.
Mhm.
It's just, you sitting there and you're like, I've seen this my whole life growing up. Like, this is insane. And so that was the coolest moment.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I've never been there, but I know that feeling. My wife and I went to Greece last year, and we had that shot where you're standing up on the hill and you're looking down, and everything. It's all the white domes and the blue water. I had
Yeah,
seen that shot so many times in
yeah.
Santorini, and my wife had always wanted to go, and we went, and we stopped and
Oh
looked at each
man,
other and said, "We're here. We're standing in that place," and we just took it in. So I
yeah,
know that feeling because I know the shot you're talking about. So to stand there
yep,
and be like, "Hey, my eyes are the camera that I've always seen the picture of. Now I'm able to take it in on my own."
yeah, no doubt. It was so special.
So that's cool. Well, good luck to you at match play, man. Good luck at the Masters, and good luck moving forward the rest of the season. And we will definitely talk to you again soon, man. Thank you so much for your time, Taylor.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to another edition of the Stripe Show podcast. We will talk to you again tomorrow.